Have you had that boring experience at family dinners where Uncle Willie comes over and says, listen, I've got a hot investment thing. You've got to get in on the ground floor. And you say, Willie, you've been hitting the sauce too much. Come on, get out of my kitchen. But Jonathan Frutkin, not Uncle Willie. Equity crowdfunding. For the first time that I read about this, I said, what a great idea, but I don't know whether I want to be a part of it. Explain what it is.
All right, well, to start with, Pat, I mean, crowdfunding is basically taking a lot of people, putting small amounts of money to accomplish a big task. In the old days, we'd call this nonprofits raising money, right? They'd call up, get a $20 donation, collect up the money, and have millions of dollars.
And it would take forever, yeah.
Take a long time, a lot of effort, and a lot of expense. But because of the internet now, people are able to run these campaigns online. And now it's expanded way past the nonprofit world into the world of arts and products, and now soon it's going to be affecting local business.
How is it different than Wall Street?
Well, the main reason that it's different is that it allows people to put in small amounts of money into private endeavors. And so right now, for example, the website Kickstarter raises a lot of money for arts and product-based projects.
That's the one I read about, and there was a newspaper article just a few months ago about a motion picture producer / director, independent guy. It was him. That's it. He was the whole company. He said, how can I raise $1 million to make this movie, which would make it an inexpensive movie to begin with anymore? He does Kickstarter and comes up with something like $3.5–4 million for the thing. He's well on his road, more than the first step to making a movie.
And movies is one spot where you see kind of an explosion, but even if you look at just last year before this hit our radar screens at all, Kickstarter actually raised more money for arts-based projects than the National Endowment of the Arts gave out in grants. The amount of money is staggering. It really is. And frankly, maybe that's the way it should be, where people are making a decision about what sort of products and projects they want to support.
Give me an example then, because you have the book, Equity Crowdfunding, subtitled Transforming Customers into Loyal Owners. How much do I have to start in a given project? And then what do I get back?
Well, most projects start off at somewhere about $20 or $25. We expect when people are buying equity, so buying shares of companies, that will be a little bit higher, and we don't know yet.
But I could start and participate for as little as $20 or $25?
In fact, that's the average on a Kickstarter campaign, is somewhere between $25 and $70. There are campaigns that allow you to put in $10 or $15. And the whole point is to get more people to participate, because one thing that we learn online is that the more people who participate, the more people that will participate. And that's really an effect of Facebook and Twitter and all the social marketing tools that are out there. You have an opportunity by announcing, hey, I've given $10, to get 10 or 15 of your friends to also give.
What do I get back?
Well, it depends on the project. So in the world of crowdfunding as we know it now, you can get rewards. As the Jobs Act, which is the law that was passed last year by Congress and signed by the President, becomes law, you'll actually get shares of stock, which means you'll have ownership, and that's pretty exciting.
And that's potential cash.
It's potential cash, but really what I like to emphasize in the book is that it's an okay way to raise money, but what a fantastic way to get the things that owners give you. They give you frequency, they come to your place more often, they spend more, and most importantly, they're evangelicals. They really believe in the business, and they promote it to their friends. And I tell people, think about like the local bagel shop. You know, you go there a lot, and sometimes you go to Subway, but what if you owned it? If you owned it, even for a small percentage of it, you would promote that and spend more money there in a way that is such an opportunity for the local business.
Are these available to local projects, or do they have to be nationally based?
Well, right now, only rewards-based donations are allowed. Once equity crowdfunding rules are finalized by the SEC, which will be later this year, early next year, they will be allowed to have equity. So while a business could go online now and raise money, a local business, they can't sell part of their company, and that's really where the opportunity is. So those smart companies are thinking about it now.
Okay, you talked about bagels, we talked about movies. Just give me a cross-section of some of the people who are already alive and well and kicking as a result of equity crowdfunding?
Well, the one example that I like to use is something called the Pebble watch. And the Pebble watch was a watch that the inventor thought would be great because it hooks up to your iPhone. So not only could you tell the time, you could tell how many steps you went, what the directions are, and who's calling, and maybe even control your radio. And he was able to raise small amounts from venture capitalists, but once he went online and said, hey, if you give $115, I'll give you a watch, he was able to raise $10.6 million and raise more than $1 million within the first 20 hours.
Close up on the cardiac arrest guy. $10 million?
But it gets better, right? Because now what we know is that Apple is moving through its product line. They're almost certainly going to launch a watch this year, and that's because the power of the crowd, the fact that thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people were willing to put up money for a product that didn't even exist yet.
Now listen, somebody, I don't want to name names, but somebody decided, I'm going to invest in a book called Equity Crowdfunding. I'm assuming this is the one first step that you recommend highly as where to find out about this. Are there other ways?
There are a lot of ways. You go to the Kickstarter website, you could do a Google search, and then go on to Amazon. There's a number of books that talk a little bit about the power of crowds and kind of how to.
But is the key phrase, though, crowdfunding, or is it Kickstarter or something else?
Yeah, crowdfunding is like the new word that would be auctions. Like eBay and Kickstarter are both websites in the same way. So
what kind of caution signs, Jonathan?
Well, be very careful. Right now, it is not legal to sell parts of your company to the general public. So don't sell parts of your company to the general public.
Why?
But you can.
Why is it not legal?
It all goes back to the 30s. The depression in the stock market crash caused a lot of changes, including the SEC.
It does take us a while to change things, doesn't it?
It does. And the issue at the time was there was no information. So if you were buying a stock, you might not have certain information. Now, of course, we're in a new world where everything's online, and you're able to also know things about a company because your friend recommended it or you've been there.
But it can be virtually any kind of project at all. Somebody has an idea, I want to get started. And we can now do this through crowdfunding.
We can. And the exciting thing, too, is that there's also the ability, for example, for consumers to get loans. So there's a website called lendingclub.com where you or I might put up $25 towards somebody's home renovations in return for monthly payment stream.
If your idea, by the way, happens to be how to prevent obesity, particularly among teenagers, hold off on that. We have more information coming up exclusively on that subject on the Morning Scramble.